Hi, this is Lou Vanni with another Elvis Presley album review, and this time I shall be reviewing Elvis Now from 1971, a very interesting album for many reasons. It has a nice country, folk, and gospel flavoring in this album throughout. You'll find it if you look for it, and it's definitely evident. Another interesting fact is that Elvis covers songs by many Canadian singer-songwriters like Gene McClellan, Buffy Sainte-Marie, and Gordon Lightfoot. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of the cover. It kind of has that ubiquitous 1970s Elvis in concert photo that you find on many of his early 70s output, and it has a very unimaginative title like Elvis Now. I get that it's Elvis being contemporary, but, I was just thinking this over and I thought maybe a better title may have been like Elvis from Mornings to Nights, or Of Mornings and Nights, because you have songs like We Can Make the Morning and Help Me Make It Through the Night. This album sold in excess of 500,000 units, so it achieved gold status. I shall rate each song out of 5. And let us begin with the very first song, and that's Help Me Make It Through the Night, from the pen of Chris Christopherson, a very gifted singer, songwriter, and actor in his own right. You might know him from the 1976 remake of A Star Is Born with Barbra Streisand, in a role that was originally slated to be played by Elvis Presley. He's also in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, a great movie from Martin Scorsese, 1974, with Ellen Burstyn and the great Harvey Keitel. I like this song a lot. It's intelligently written, it has a good melodic structure, and Elvis is invested vocally. He gives it a dynamic effort throughout. The musicians are excellent, especially Norbert Putnam, who does some intriguing bass lines throughout, 4 out of 5. The second track is Miracle of the Rosary, and this is not one of my favorites. It's my least favorite track. In fact, I think it kind of stands out here. I get this album has a gospel-like flavor, but this is an overtly religious track, and it kind of has that commonplace religious lyric and melody as well. It may have been better suited to a gospel or sacred Elvis Presley album, or inspirational, if you will, like He Touched Me from 1972. Too much reliance on the backup singers for me on this one. Elvis's voice gets lost at times, but I have to say that his vocals on it are commanding and definitely enthusiastic. He does a wonderful job vocally on this, and it was written by Lee Denson, who grew up with Elvis in the Lauderdale Courts housing projects of Memphis. My least favorite track, 3 out of 5. Next, we have Hey Jude, and we all know Hey Jude, a Beatles classic, written by Lennon and McCartney, though I think it was mainly written by Paul McCartney, or solely written by Paul McCartney. Of course, it's not as good as the Beatles version, but you know what? I like what Elvis does on it. He gives it a nice impromptu feel, kind of has an improvisational feel. He shuffles around with the lyrics, omits words, substitutes words, maybe even forgets words, but it works. At times he's overreaching vocally, but I love how he nails the end. With the Hey Judy, Judy, Judy's, there's a great rasp in his voice. He definitely delivers vocally, and a shout out to Gene Chrisman, who's excellent on the drums on this track. You know what? I like this one, 4 out of 5. Next we have another cover. It's called Put Your Hand in the Hand. And this was a big hit for Ocean around the same time Elvis recorded it. And his arrangement is similar. It's an interesting mix of pop and gospel and inspirational music, and there's some terrific guitar work by James Burton and dutiful drumming, either by Kenneth Buttrey or Jerry Carrigan. I'm not sure. They're both listed on the sessionography, but I really like Elvis's vocals on this one. I enjoy this song. It has a nice pace to it, 4 out of 5. The last song on the first side is Until It's Time for You to Go, and this is a somber ballad by gifted Canadian Indigenous First Nations singer-songwriter Buffy Sainte-Marie, who's an immense talent, very talented vocalist and songwriter as well. And I like this one as well. It's very well written, it has good contemplative lyric to it. It has that kind of vivid melancholy type melody, and Elvis supplies it with a very inspired baritone vocal throughout. However, there's too much orchestration for me. It kind of dims the overall sound of the song. A little too much reliance on that heavy orchestration, but I do enjoy the baritone vocal, and it's so beautifully written by Buffy Sainte-Marie, 4 out of 5. Now we'll start with the second side, and the first track is We Can Make the Morning. And We Can Make the Morning is my favorite song. This is a slow, mid-tempo type number. It has a poignant, exhilarating vocal performance by Elvis. His phrasing is outstanding. He gives it a delicate touch of weariness in his voice, and that's counterbalanced with flashes of confidence, and it works to great effect. He sings this song with great devotion. It has outstanding lyrics and melody. It was composed by Jay Ramsey, and Elvis distributes a nice breath control throughout the songs. The musicians execute the song to near perfection. So musically, it's definitely a winner. Lyrically, it's definitely a winner, and Elvis's vocals are superb. My favorite track, 5 out of 5. In fact, I think it should have been an A-side single. Sometimes it gets lost in Elvis's vast canon of music, but it's one of my favorite songs from the early 70s. Next, we have Early Morning Rain, and this is a cover of a Gordon Lightfoot song. He's a Canadian folk singer. He had a lot of hits, including The Wonderful Sundown. It's an amusing mix of country and folk, and Elvis gives it a sincere vocal, but it's a brilliant vocal performance, and it's mainly sung in his lower range. It has an intelligent lyric, a sophisticated melody, and it's very well produced by Felton Jarvis. I must also add that there's some gorgeous harmonica playing by Charlie McCoy throughout the song, and some intricate guitar picking work, either by James Burton or Chip Young. I'm not sure. They both appear on the sessionography of this song. They do a fantastic job. I like Early Morning Rain a lot, 4.5 out of 5. Sylvia is the next track, or the next cut, and this sounds like a Tom Jones song. And this isn't a slight at Tom Jones at all. I think he's an incredibly gifted vocalist and performer, but it has that early 70s heavy orchestral type sound, kind of bombastic type sound, heavy on the orchestration, that you get in some of these early 1970s tracks. But Elvis's vocals are excellent. They're enthusiastic, and he actually builds his vocals to a crescendo throughout the song. The one thing about the song that I do dislike, besides the heavy orchestration, are the lyrics. They're kind of cliched. You have lines like "that old weeping willow whispers her name, tears on my pillow," and this kind of mars the track for me, so I give it 3.5 out of 5, but a wonderful vocal performance by Elvis Presley. The next song is another one of my favorites, Fools Rush In, an excellent remake of a song written by Mercer and Bloom. It was a huge hit for Ricky Nelson, and I must say Elvis's arrangement is somewhat similar, but he sings it in a quiet, unassuming style that pays dividends throughout. And he just gives it a dollop of regret in his voice, so his phrasing is sublime on this one. It features a stinging, bell-ringing, tremulous guitar solo by James Burton, who incidentally played on the Ricky Nelson version. I like this track a lot. Not my favorite, perhaps my second favorite, 4.5 out of 5. And the album closes with I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago. This is a solid gospel-flavored tune, but the lyrics are a little bit too repetitive for me. It's a decent tune. It's arranged by Elvis Presley, so he does a decent job arranging the song. But to me, it's kind of uninteresting. It just doesn't really float my boat, I guess. And I give that one a 3 out of 5. Now, when I tally the scores for Elvis Now, I got a 39.5 out of 50, and that's a 79%. So I'm giving Elvis Now from 1971 a B+. So there you go, a B+ for Elvis Now, a very good album, a very good early 1970s studio album from Elvis in the year 1971. I thank you for watching.